Alright, and welcome back to the Aegis stuff. Once again, I have been away for a little bit, but we'll go over what we've brought, we'll go over the first two games, I think, and we'll talk about a little bit of the stuff that happened. I don't really remember the first two games that well. I think the third game is really interesting, the collaborative set, where we fight ABGs on, but we still have to go through these games to begin with, where we fight Lunatic Fringe and Froggy Spidz. Gonna quickly go over the thoughts regarding the lineup. Since the update came out like a day and a half before we could submit decks, you didn't really have too much time to go over like what was the new stuff, right? Like we didn't have that much time to like condense into a meta. And we still sort of really haven't. But the thing that everyone decided on day one was that Tristana is what people should be playing. And so knowing that, I thought most people would be on Tristana. And just as a little bit of a show, I was largely correct that most people are on Tristana. Now, this was the only time that Unhinged was on Tristana, and it was not on a regular version of Tristana, so Unhinged wasn't really part of that group. But ABG's on a Froggy Spots were definitely on the Tristana stuff. You can even see that in the group set, which is something that's going to be important later on. So I made sure that Gemzy and I were trying to be on sort of both anti-Tristana and anti-Samira Varus. That was our main thought process. Now, not all of these are amazing into Tristana and Samira Varus, and you might turn your nose up at some of this. So Aatrox Quinn Vayne is supposed to be really good into all of these because you just get to heal out of the aggro's range and be a better mid-range deck against both of them, right? Although Samira Varus is like a sort of 50s matchup, I think, is my understanding. Illaoi Javan's very similar. Norra Veigar can struggle against the spell shield half of the Tristana stuff, but aside from that, is supposed to be good into both of these. Norra Veigar is also a little bit weird into Samira Varus if they do get the spell shield half of the Varus deck, right? So both of the decks do have a spell shield aspect to them that Norra Veigar can struggle with. But the alternative was to bring stuff like Karma Sett Targon and Heimer Jace. Both of these had a more polarizing matchup against one of those two decks. I wanted a less polarizing matchup against both. This is going off statistics that were probably around wrong at the time. I think some of this stuff's a little bit obviously wrong to us maybe now. But I didn't have that much time to prep. I was busy with uni stuff. That's why there's been no CDS stuff. I've been a little bit busy. But that's the logic between this lineup. This is supposed to be the exact same lineup as this, except you might notice that if we open up Aatrox Quinn Vayne, all the Darken weapons are epics, and Gemzy can't afford all of those, so we're stuck with, like, all of these are epic cards, and I'm going to presume at least one of these might be an epic. Nope. Okay. Just all of these are epics. Hard for Gemzy to get them, so we put him back on Karma Sett Targon. The other difference between both of our lineups, besides the Karma Sett Targon and the Aatrox Quinn Vayne, is that Gemzy's version of Illaoi G4 only has 2 Jarvans, while mine has 3, because someone couldn't afford a third Jarvan. I put him on another hired gun just because it was supposed to be decent into the matchups that we're going for, right? Hired gun, I think, is a pretty good card going into both Samira Varus and Tristana, right? That's pretty much everything. I put Roma on the same lineup I gave him last week, which was just the card gamer lineup, except I took out the Leona and gave him a Tristana. Thought may as well give him a generally aggro-y thing. This is like Infinipatron's list from whenever he was the top of the ladder. I don't know if it's still the top of the ladder. I haven't been paying too much attention, but I put him on this and he seemed to enjoy it. What ended up happening, as I'll go here, is that we won our first set, we won our second set, although for once one of us didn't go get 2 wins. One of us actually lost this set. I wouldn't be caught dead being that person. And then we beat ABG Zone. If we go over to player stats, you'll see that I was the one that lost the set, right? So I am 3-1 as opposed to 4-0, but Gemzy and Roma are both 4-0, which is very, very cool. And Roma's actually the second most at the top because both Baya and Roma have 8-1s, which I think is just so cool. Then Gemzy's obviously here with the 8-4, and then Spidz all the way down next to Floppy Mudkip, which I just was like during season 2 of Aegis. I was just under Floppy Mudkip. So, you know, there's some cool stuff happening here. If we go to the standings, we're at 5-1, which is the second highest you can be. Red Pups is the only one at 6-0, but, you know, most groups have a 5-1, some only have a 4-1 or a 4-2. I guess this just isn't complete yet. But we're at the top of our group and we're sitting pretty, according to the Foldy sheet, we can't be eliminated. We can't be in the bottom seed. And there's only like 1 or 2 worlds where we're tied for first with ABG Zone. And I think there's one world where ABG Zone does beat us out, but because we have a better head-to-head into ABG Zone, we should beat them in ties. So we just need to win like 1 set and we have the first seed. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. So 1 set won next week gives us the first seed. I think, generally speaking, that's how that works, which is quite nice for a team that wasn't supposed to do any sort of winning. We're managing to do a bit of winning, which is kind of nice. The last thing I want to show is the team stats, where we're above everyone, which I think is also quite humorous. I think it's because it's organized by this statistic. Obviously, if it was organized by this statistic, then these 2 teams would be above us, but It's organized by this statistic. We've only ever lost 2 best of 3s, and one was our collaborative set, and one was the one that I lost, which you'll see maybe today, depending on how much time we have. So, you know, this is pretty cool. Red pup who, mastering tryhard who, who, etc. Anyway, we shall now go to the games where we're going to fight Lunatic Fringe Unhinged. So we open up the deck list. We'll talk about the ban strategy. They've got Gwen, Samira, Aatrox, Queen Vayne, and Fizz, Tristana, Varus. Now, Gwen, Samira is a lot like just like regular Red Gwen, I think. It's slightly different from what you might expect from a Red Gwen because it's got Darkened Ballista and Retired Reckoner and Ghostly Paramour. But you can see the point, right? It's aggro cards, these 2 regions, Foya, Gwen, red stuff, boom, win the game. It's very home built with cards like Disintegrate, which isn't too bad in this list, but you can tell that like this isn't a very stock standard version of any sort of Gwen Samira list you might have seen. They've got Cartwheels, and they've also got Fizz, Tristana, Varus. Now, Fizz, Tristana, Varus is an interesting deck. There's been this idea of like Varus in Banner City for a little while. You'll actually see that I brought it to the CDS, but it was very different in concept. But this makes sense for a Fizz, Tristana, Varus deck type, right? You've got more of the cards that I think are probably necessary for this kind of deck, like a Violent Discord and Mare, which was different to how I built it. You've also got Ranger Knight Defector, but this is all pretty good. It's obviously got Bandle Gunners, which is a new addition, and, you know, Wandering Shepherd procs Bandle Gunners, which is, you know, just a cute thing that you can do. You've obviously got all of this stuff. It looks like a fine deck, but it's not particularly, you know, it's not breaking waves in the meta because it's not going to be the strongest deck that anyone can bring. This is his strongest deck, and thus I'm pretty sure it's the one that I ban, just because it's the only deck that actually has a lot going for it, right? And we're supposed to be pretty decent into like Samira ideas and Tristana ideas, even if these aren't stock standard versions of Samira and Tristana. These are our deck lists. I think they end up banning Norra, Veigar. We end up playing the double Demacia decks. I didn't really want to bring Demacia. I wanted to learn new things that aren't Demacia, and the lack of Concerted Strike really does make me upset. But it made sense for the lineup. I didn't have much time to prepare. I genuinely hadn't played all week since the previous thing besides for CDS, right? So since CDS happened, I hadn't played any LOR. Not really. Maybe I played a few games of fun decks, but I wasn't doing anything sort of serious with it because I was focused on other things. So 7 minutes out of the way. Let's go watch. So they're on the Gwen Samira to start, and we're playing Aatrox Queen Vayne. My thinking against a sort of aggressive deck like this is that Elkin is nice, and maybe this is interesting. And Vayne's all right in as much as that we've got this stuff, so I presume we got rid of nothing. Interesting. So this is like a premium card, right? It's an aggro card, and if we can give it like the tough keyword because we've got a weapon and even like a catcher weapon, this will block into a lot of the things that they're going to be threatening us, right? So they're going to be blocking into stuff like, you know, Legion Saboteur, Ionian Hookmaster, Redeem Prodigy, Samira, Boisterous Host. Like this, the fact that Elkin does a lot for us in this deck, even if we don't trade it on turn 1. Now we might trade it on turn 1 if we draw another 2-drop or something, but Elkin's going to do pretty well for us early on. And Harp allows us to apply a lot of pressure if we draw something like an RKD, or we can even just put it on the Vayne. And their deck is going to struggle a little bit to pressure. If we can sort of like pressure them as much as they're pressuring us, they're going to have to start taking blocks, and all of their things would rather attack than block, partly because of the Hallowed keyword and partly just because of how these units typically work, with stuff like Fearsome, the attack skill, Gwen's attack skill, Challenger, Retired Reckoner's Overwhelm. All of these things would rather be attacking than defending. So applying a little bit of pressure allows us to force their things that are pro-attacking to want to be defending. I think this is a fine full keep. I think there are worlds where you cut this or cut this or cut this. You could cut this to try and find more copies of like cheaper units, right? You could also cut the Dark and Harp to try and find other types of weapons, such as, I don't know, Dural or Bloodletters or something. Because the Dark and Harp doesn't give any health and you do want to be blocking stuff. You could also cut Catch because this sort of like combat trick thing is only useful in very specific scenarios, such as an open attack on turn 3 where we've not equipped this on turn 2, which could occur, but it's not going to be like entirely likely. So it's weird because this isn't like a real deck and this isn't a deck I'm comfortable on. I'm really bad at playing this Cartwheels deck, but I think I'm okay with this full keep just because this is almost an ideal hand, and we will draw like, let's say 4 cards before turn 4. If any of those are like RKD or units or, you know, like the 0-3 or whatever, right? Like we're going to feel like really happy. So that's why I thought I should keep this. It's better than cutting this, finding something that isn't RKD or Vayne and then being slightly unhappy, right? This is like a pretty medium hand. And in a matchup that I feel relatively okay in, I think keeping like a medium hand is better than trying to cut stuff to try and find like a busted hand, right? Mulligan logic is often kind of weird, but you know, there's like a bell curve of what hands can look like. But in medium or good matchups, anything like here onwards is good. And in bad matchups, you need something here onwards, right? And because this is a good matchup and this hand is like smack dab in the middle, maybe it's more like here, to be honest. Because it's within this barrier, I'm willing to full keep it rather than it being somewhere like here where you would want to kick, I don't know, like one card or something, right? That's my logic. I don't know if this mulligan logic is particularly good, but that's the logic I'm using. And drawing another Steadfast Elkin's very, very nice. And they don't even have a one drop. We've almost won, like immediately right now, because they don't have early units, and we've got 2 Elkins, a catchable weapon to give all of them like tough, so it gives them basically 3 health, if not 4, because, you know, we could find a weapon that isn't this and it does even more. We've got this to apply pressure with this that also applies pressure. We're feeling amazing at the moment just from their pass and the extra one, the 2/2s. And then, look, I genuinely don't remember how this game goes, but we drew the RKD, right? Like, I've got no memory at all about any of these games except the collab set. So anything I'm saying is not based on results-based analysis except the fact that we either win or lose. I don't remember anything from these games. But, you know, we found the RKD, and honestly, by this position, we've already won. There's nothing they can do, I don't think. They don't even have harrowing in the deck, so there's nothing we're really scared of in that perspective. If they block, we would probably catch there, and, you know, we've just won. There's very, very little they could accomplish here besides insane Samira all-out attacks with Disintegrate that change everything in life and get Scout off Hookmaster or something. I think. They play Samira. I remembered something about this game now. Alright, I remember something quite humorous about this game. So what I'm thinking about now is that my lose condition is Samira controlling the game via like the challenger keyword, right? That's my fear point. And I've only actually got one way right now in the hand to interact with Samira, and that's Vayne's Condemn, right? That's the only method I've got to deal with Samira. So my thinking is that over the next 2 turns, we've got 8 mana, right? We need 3 for Vayne, we need 1 for Condemn, and we need 4 for RKD. And I can afford this. I can actually afford doing RKD, Vayne, and a 1 mana Condemn. And this is the line I go for. I say, okay, challenge this, pass this. I want to play Vayne off to attack. That way you can't challenge with the Vayne. Then I'm going to play RKD. I'm going to attack twice, and then I'm going to play Condemn, kill Samira, and that's pretty much my lose condition gone, right? That's the only way I feel like I can lose at the moment. But the astute observer will realize that I can't make Condemn cost 1 mana because this unit doesn't actually have Scout. And that's a problem. That is technically a problem. Now, an option is instead of doing RKD, we can actually do a 3 mana Tumble. And that's the same as attacking twice. We'd be tumbling this weapon and it'd still be able to kill Samira. But I don't realize that yet. So keep in mind that this is the play I'm going for. Is this play right? I still think the answer is kind of yes. This genuinely is my only lose condition. And with how this hand is working, developing this with the Scout weapon with the quick attack weapon isn't even going to be a bad play. That's not something I don't want to occur. So I'm pretty happy with letting that occur and seeing how things pan out after that. Once we've developed both of these and we've got this on the board and we've also got these still around to trade into these things, there's very little that their hands could be that could scare us. They could have weird might all-out stuff, but that's not too scary. So I feel pretty comfortable as is. That's why, but you got to realize that this is what's going on in my mind at the moment. And I remember being very surprised that that won't have Scout. I remember being like, oh my god, this unit sometimes doesn't have Scout, what the heck? But that's my bad for forgetting it, because I've barely played any of this deck before. And this is me making that decision. I could catch right now to give this tough, but I'm working out the Vayne and Condemn stuff. That's what I'm saying to myself right now. I can Vayne, I can Condemn, I can be happy by playing RKD. But I do not realize the nature of reality at the moment. Do I do it or do I not? I don't remember. I think I've realized that this doesn't have the orange border, and I'm realizing that it's not procced. I think I've just realized this now. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, Spidz. Yeah, this is what you want to do. Okay. We could develop units, but we can't kill Samira without a 6-mana condemn. And using 6-mana condemn aggressively, like this turn, by doing this stuff, or developing units, is almost the same thing, right? By the end of the next turn, we'll have 2 units developed, and they'll challenge one of them, right? And then we can condemn afterwards. I think this is the best way to have like a mid-range-esque scenario where we've destroyed their units and kept our board as full as possible, right? That's why I want to do the condemn this turn, because they'll have the free challenger. We won't really have a way of interacting with that, so if we develop this, we attack twice, they'll challenge one of these, and we'll only retain one of the units. Both ways, by the end of the turn, we're retaining one unit, exclusive of the mana we've got next turn to develop units, right? So that's why I'm doing it this way. And I think killing Samira as one of my few lose conditions, I think, is an important play to be doing. Plus, this puts 10 damage on the field. Like, this is quite good. They can't do this block. If they do, we're even happier, right? Again, we're killing one of their units or we're dealing damage. This is very fine for me. I'm very happy to see this. Now, they could hate spike us. And now they can't hate spike us. Now, they did get the scout weapon, so there are things they can do with scout and challenger and the quick attack keyword if they have another Samira. But for now, this is all we need to be fearful of. They've got 2 hollowed, so this does have 3 strength when they open. And they could challenge to kill Vayne and get the weapon back. It's not like we're out of a sticky situation. But we're definitely feeling comfy. And drawing the Aatrox feels quite nice as well. It's just healing, and then we can cartwheel the Aatrox, and that's why the deck is called Cartwheels, because you cartwheel on Aatrox. We could catch here, and I think I do. I want them to spend more resources to kill this unit. I'm basically trying to say, okay, I'm going to run you out of resources. Spend a resource to kill this unit right now, please. Is this the right play? I think it is. I think without any other weapon, we can't add a catch to something. We can't catch something for extra health. And to run them out of resources, the best way to use catch is to add health. So trading catch for all out is something like, I'm very okay with this trade. We've got more stuff going on than them, except for maybe this 8-mana card. But we're feeling relatively happy at the moment, right? And we've still got the Tumble, the Scout, and the Carp, and the Aatrox, right? We've still got good things going on. I play Arcady. Now, this Arcady is actually pretty bad if they've got the 2/2 Samira. Because they'd be able to challenge this, and that'd be a little bit frightening. Because, again, Samira would have 4 strength, they've got the thing. So you could argue that this isn't necessarily the right play. I could have just passed and done this on the next turn, but I think being aggressive with this unit is okay. And I don't know. I guess they wouldn't have played Samira if they had the opportunity, so this might be always wrong in 2 seconds Samira. This could be a misplay. I wonder if Donut would say this is a misplay. He's got a lot more experience on this deck than I have. Maybe he would say that you really just want to be aggressive and there's no reason to play around second Samira. Plus we get to threaten catch, so maybe they wouldn't even do it. But and we've played catch quite... It may be a disarguable scenario, so I don't know. Maybe this isn't the right play. But then I draw another scout unit and I'm like, okay, I can be super aggressive and go for some crazy powerful lethal lanes. And it's hard for them to deal with those lethal lanes. Like, it's quite difficult for them. I mean, they have to do hate spike or something to kill this. They don't run Vile Feast or anything. So what they can do, Noxian Tailstones is the other way to deal with this. But we've got so many crazy lethal lanes at the moment. And we've got Tumble for next turn that I'm willing to develop this. And they surrender. We just applied a lot of pressure. They didn't have a 1-drop. We had early draws. We full kept our hand because our hand was good enough. And we were able to apply pressure with the Darken Harp, right? I think that's a relatively stock standard matchup for this sort of thing, where we're able to apply pressure and they weren't able to have anything concerning for us. I think that was pretty fine. Now, we definitely lose this matchup. I remember losing this one and doing it because I misplay. I remember misplaying and losing this matchup. But this is another deck I'm uncomfortable on. I'm not really happy with the Illaoi Demacia stuff. I'm not very good at it. There's a lot of combo-y stuff that I'm just not used to at the moment. So I definitely get confused in the mulligan and what I'm supposed to look for. I'll see what I end up deciding. Because right now my instinct is keep this, cut this, cut this. But perhaps I'm wrong. Okay, I decide to. So I'm not going to claim like I know what the correct choice is. I think this only kills stuff like Gwen and Samira. That's the only stuff I really need to be worried about with this Tentacle Smash. Everything else I'd rather just have like a unit, like a 0-3, or nearly anything else. This I think is interesting. It is a 3-3. It does block a lot of the stuff they could have, such as the Redeemed Prodigy or the Legion Saboteur. And we do get to attack with it on 3 if we want. This is obviously important because this is basically our win condition, Illaoi and Cataclysm, so I'm not surprised I kept them. And Cataclysm is the same stuff as Tentacle Smash, slightly worse into certain things, slightly better into certain things. And Illaoi is very, very important. So I'm not surprised that I kept like this, but it's interesting. It's not a deck I'm very comfortable with. And I think this hand is pretty decent. We've got Hired Gun, which does a lot of nice things, and we've got Brew Lookout, which can do things against this deck by summoning 2 units. So I feel okay. The only thing we're missing is like an early Tentacle unit, which I did kick, but you know, it's one of the few things I'm missing from my hand at the moment. They do Redeemed Prodigy. I do Broadwing. I could have done Hired Gun, but I think I wanted to use Hired Gun to threaten stuff on future turns. So, you know, do it on Gwen, do it on Samira, right? I think that was my idea behind Hired Gun. Why not playing it now? I'm going to probably open pass to do the Merciless Hunter thing, where we threaten Challenger or Overwhelm. That's my expectation. Good pass. They probably take this back though. Foyer. Okay, now I've got to decide. Do I rather have a 2-3 on the field? Or do I rather use this for the vulnerable keyword? This is a thing that often happens with like Merciless Hunter and Hired Gun. Right, what's more important? Just this unit as a 2-3 on the field for future blocks? Or is it more important to use the vulnerable keyword? And I think because I've got Cataclysm, I decide that I'd rather have a 2-3 on the field. Because I'm not going to be playing Hired Gun until turn 6 if I want to be curving out and doing my most powerful stuff. I think that's my logic. Now, I can block Gwen with Illaoi plus Former, which is nice. But they don't play Gwen, they play Phantom Butler. Which is tough, because we don't actually have a Fearsome blocker. So we can create a Fearsome blocker? Oh, but we can create a Fearsome blocker, but it's not... It's going to cost us something, but it's also kind of important. This is dealing 7 damage because of the Darken Weapon, which they're getting a lot of use out of. I don't do this because I don't want to be running into stuff like Disintegrate, because I think I want to be open attacking unless I develop this unit. Maybe it's better to block. I don't think 2 health is more important than 2 health on this thing. I think 2 health on this unit is more important than 2 health on this. So I think that's why I just don't block. But I think we're developing Buru Lookout and just being super, super aggressive. Yep. They play another Foyer, but I decide to be aggressive. Try and apply some pressure, try and get some lethals with Cataclysm on future turns if we can. They do Hate Spike, that's what my arrow was suggesting. I was pretty confident that it might be a Hate Spike with the mana they had remaining. But we've got 3 pieces of interaction. We've got some interesting stuff we can do, it just depends on what they've got. Now we've got 4 pieces of interaction, which is starting to become too much. So we also need to find ways to win the game. And they play Ghostly Paramour. Now this is where the misplay starts. I'm thinking, how can I go for lethal, right? That's my main concern. And my other concern is that this having lifesteal, especially since they will attack us and get the hollowed buffs, will mean they'll go to 20 HP, right? We could prevent them from going to 20 HP by doing a Tentacle Slam on this unit, or we could even do Cataclysm, but Cataclysm is more important for the lethals that I'm going for, where I want to attack twice with Illaoi. I could Tentacle Slam, kill this unit, but if they've got stuff like Hate Spike or Disintegrate, this Tentacle's going to get really, really small, or even All Out, right? This Tentacle's going to get quite small, and I'm not going to be able to go for lethals anyway. If they attack us, we could just accept it or block with the Tentacle or something, but allow ourselves to go for lethals in future. But we're in a super awkward position, right? We could also do something like a single combat, but it's very similar, right? Any interaction piece that we put towards the Ghostly Paramour could result in this dying. This dying means we're not able to kill them, right? Without certain draws, we're just not able to kill them. This attacking means we're taking a bunch of damage unless we're blocking, and at that point we'd rather just do these trades, right? And they're also going to go to 20 health, which means we're not going to be able to kill them, right? My decision that I end up making is to kill the Ghostly Paramour because I am scared of them lifestealing, and I'm not doing anything else with this hand. It's really hard for me to accomplish stuff, but I think this might be a misplay. I think I might have been needing to take the damage and do stuff like Form Up and Cataclysm on the next turn and just try and deal 20 damage in a single action and try and use single while they're at 20 HP as part of that process, I think. Got to decide to do Tentacle Smash. Because if this works, by the way, we're winning the game. This is a 1 game if this works. But they run Might. And now I've lost my unit. And they've healed a full. Now, Illaoi's at 6 out of 15. Right, so we need to deal 9 damage to level up our unit. We're dealing 6 with this, and if they attack, we can get 2 more. But that's not how I draw 2s, that's how I draw the letter Z. This is only equal to 8, right? And 8 is not equal to 9. So we need to add +1. We can add +1 either through Form Up or single combat with our Illaoi. So we could also do single combat like this way, right? That also levels up Illaoi. And leveling up Illaoi is important for spawning more stuff, which makes this more useful in future and like half of our deck, you know, more strong, right? So I definitely want to level up Illaoi by this point, and we've got the means to do so with this stuff. I hit Control Z too many times. So that's a concern point, right? How are we going to try and win the game? Because we can prevent dying for a little bit, but they do have this 8 mana card that'll kill us. Like, it's Tool sometimes. Sometimes this Tool is annoying. But we're in a tough position because of that. And it could be argued that doing this was wrong. I should have just taken a billion damage and tried to find a win despite that. That's where I think the possibility of a misplay has occurred. Yeah. Hey, sorry, quick aside here. I managed to spend the next, like, 10 minutes talking about this play, right, this year. I talk about it, like, there's a bunch of plays that occur over the course of the game, and I'm like, oh, I eventually say that I should have done single combat here and here. I somehow never noticed the format. I've got like 10 minutes of talking here where I go in depth about like, oh, if I had thought about my plays ahead of time, if I thought about the possible draws and the possible circumstances what could be in their hand, if I do single combat, I can level Illaoi that finds a way to get to lethal. That I've got format. I can keep my tentacle around, take a bunch of damage, open attack, and like win. Right, I've kind of got lethal, right? Because it'll be a 5 and a 7, right? And then that's not technically lethal, but I've got Cataclysm at that point. I've currently got lethal in there. I somehow, I don't know, I played this game and I didn't play Form Up, obviously. I reviewed this game and I didn't play Form Up because I've just noticed it now. I'm really sorry about the lack of quality. I'm gonna leave the next 10 minutes in where I do talk about the other stuff because I think it's interesting and it keeps also like some of the stuff that I could have done in the game, and it shows what the other plays are just in case any of the people are interested. But like somehow forgetting the form up here. It makes the tentacle have 8 strength. It doesn't level Illaoi, sure. I mean, if they attack us with both of the ghastly bands, then we can level Illaoi through blocking one of the ghastly bands. But I guess I must have assumed that the spawn 2 already occurred. But I've got form up right there. Anyway, please note that if you were to mold over the next 10 minutes about like playing form up, just know that at least I saw it now, but I nearly just let this slide and would have uploaded it. And then obviously the most immediate comment would be form up when. But now it's not going to be that. So thanks. Bye. And they're going to have a lot of hollowed really quickly. I do this block, but I'm concerned about leveling up Illaoi and how I want to do that. I decide not to level up Illaoi. You get C's voice. I think I'd play C's voice. Because I'm trying to find a way to win the video game, and I think that involves summoning units and dealing damage. They get Overwhelm, which is really scary. I could pre-commit single to level up Illaoi quicker, but my thinking is I'm going to have to stall out this game by another turn. Let's keep single for future turns. That's my thinking here. They play Sharpened Resolve. I keep my Illaoi alive. I could have done that through single, and doing that through single might have been better. But I also need to be blocking the Ghostly Band and whatever other units they're going to have in addition to Naganeka of Zareta. But you'll notice they've got 8 hollowed, and this has 5 strength. That's 13 damage. I need to block 13 damage overwhelm right now. And I just can't. I cannot deal 13 damage overwhelm. I don't have that in me at the moment. This is me trying to work out if I can single my way to victory. I technically can, in as much as that I can do this attack, strike, put this down to, I think it was 8, and then do like a single here and a single here, and these things would die and I'd keep my unit around. But I'm not winning the game at that point, right? They're going to have Ghastly Bands every turn. All I've got is this thing and a few single combats. I'm not going to be able to win the game. I can stall out to draw a second Illaoi. That's not going to let me win the game. This lets me get a 7/7, but I can't block into them if I've got this. And now I've got the timer ticking down. And so I think I do another misplay here. Because I don't have the time to make my decision. And look, the correct decision was Cataclysm this way, put damage on this thing, then single with this, and survive, right? I do live. They're not able to equip the Overwhelm weapon. We're probably going to chump block when we do the singles, by the way, so we don't take damage from the Ghostly Bands or anything. We can keep this unit alive. That way we end the turn with a 3/3 and a 1/1. And if we draw something like an Illaoi or a Buru Lookout or anything, we can survive. We can kill their next attack token when they've used the Overwhelm weapon with this as well. So we've got the interaction pieces we need to stall out the game even longer. But we're going to lose Illaoi and we're going to lose the game. And my thought was, if my math is wrong and I can survive with this on the field, then I get to retain Illaoi and maybe find a win condition. What we could have done last turn was do the single on the unit that was trading into Illaoi and kept health on Illaoi. That might have permitted us to block with Illaoi and maybe do some other stuff. But I don't know if that was going to be enough to do anything for us. We could have also done some other things where we leveled up Illaoi on a previous turn. That way this would have more stats. It would be a 4/4. And in the event where this is a 4/4, we've actually got some interesting stuff we can do. But that requires us to do the form up or the single combat the turn prior. So let's go through this, because what's the point of the VOD review if I just say we could have done this and then not mention not actually go through the scenarios. So I think here, let's admit that this occurs. Let's just say that's what we're going for, right? We need to commit one of these in order to level Illaoi, I think. What we could do is we could single combat into this. This should level Illaoi. And so we've lost a single combat, but we've leveled Illaoi. We go into the next action where we're going to take 8 damage, but we're not going to do this block, right? Because this unit doesn't exist anymore. We take the 8 damage. We go into next turn. Our Illaoi is leveled. So when we develop this unit, Illaoi is going to be a 3/7. They play that. We go in Illaoi's. Now this is going to have a 4/4 down here. And Illaoi is going to be, a 7, let's say infinite health, because she's not dying to the might stuff, right? Or she's not dying to the Sharpen Resolve. They might Sharpen Resolve this way, or they might just chump that way. I think it's better if they chump that way, because they're going to have Sharpen Resolve in hand, which means they've also got Draven's Whirling Death in hand. So just be wary, they've got Draven's Whirling Death in hand, but what we're dealing is we're dealing 10 damage to their Nexus, which is important, right? Either they block, and we're only dealing 7, or we're dealing 10 damage to the Nexus. So let's say the Nexus is at either 10 or 7, right? That's the 2 options for the Nexus. Let me undo this, sorry. They've got 10 health on the Nexus, or they've got 13 health, because we're dealing 7, right? We do this. We've done all the trades. They play Naganeka of Zareta. We're saying this is a 4-4. We can Cataclysm this unit into this, and that'll make this a 6-6, which will give Illaoi 9 strength, so we're still not winning. It gives Illaoi 9 strength and what? She'll have 7 plus 7. She'll have 14 health. So we can't block Naganeka of Zareta and stay alive. But we can definitely Cataclysm this unit, put them down to either 1 HP or 4 HP. And then, right, we also don't have one more. We don't have one of these singles. And then we can kill Naganeka of Zareta by pre-committing single combat on this unit as well. That way when they attack, this doesn't die. It's got 6 health and 1 HP, right? Because it'll have 1 HP. We'll do the single combat on the stack while we're doing the Cataclysm. Sorry. If they're at 10 health, we'll do Cataclysm and... We can't do Cataclysm and single on the stack. They'd have to play something for that to be allowed, right? Because otherwise the unit will die. So never mind, don't worry about that. But we do this on the stack. We do the single this way. That way this is now a 6-1. And importantly, it trades into Illaoi when they strike with this. And if they don't strike with this, we're fine, right? This will attack Illaoi and it won't die because Illaoi will have infinite health, right? 14 is infinite. Or they attack, you know, this thing dies, this thing stays alive. Next turn, we've got a 6-1 and this thing that makes it a 7-1. Now, they will have Sharpened Resolve or Draven's Whirling Death. But not only can we counter that with one of these cards, because we won't have single, right? Because we've used up single, we've used up Cataclysm. So they could do Whirling Death, right? They do Whirling Death this way. We do have enough mana to play this card, so Whirling Death wouldn't be enough. And so I think that means we could have won. I think that means we had a method of lethal, provided that we had this hand read where they've got Naganeka, which we did know, and the Sharpened Resolve thing, and the Hookmaster, right? Which is not an uncommon hand, and Hookmaster can be replaced with almost any unit, right? So provided that this is what their hand looks like, the correct play would have been to level up Illaoi via this single combat right here, I think. So I think it's a misplay not necessarily to have done this. Now, this is obviously awkward. I'm not going to claim that this isn't unawkward, right? This is definitely weird if they've got stuff, but I hope you can see my logic about not dying to stuff and also not wanting to take 1,000,000 damage from Overwhelm, Fearsome, Hollowed Man. So I'm not like totally upset that I did this play, but once they added Might, I really should have done... I mean, Overwhelm was from Might, but, you know, this unit that was going to do a lot of damage or force this block anyway or something like that, heal to full. I think it was correct to do the single combat. We've obviously got enough strike spells to deal with a certain amount of things. Strike one of these, take the 8 damage, but deal with what's going to happen later on. Level Illaoi and hopefully let Illaoi over the next couple of turns with this go for lethal. Now, obviously, this is also contingent on us drawing the 3-3, but we also need to draw a unit anyway. I think this is possibly the right play, but this is also results-based analysis. So maybe from this position, you can't determine that that's the right play. But definitely from, like, you know, this position, that was the right play. I'll let this play out in its entirety because we have gone through this a lot. I end up doing Answered Prayer, and then we end up losing, right? Because Answered Prayer doesn't give us anything to occur. So just open attack with Naganeka of Zareta, and we've lost. End up doing Stylish Shot, which I don't think changes anything from what we were talking about. Yeah, we survive, but now what happens, right? Like, we lose our C's voice. We can't win the game anymore. So I give up, right? Because remember, they're getting the Stylish Shot back, right? Just so that's clear. I could have won from that position, but the Stylish Shot would have gotten back to them, right? And had I top decked an Illaoi, something may have occurred, but it's not even going to be that consistent, right? I don't even think it's possible if we top deck Illaoi at that point and they don't have Stylish Shot for us to win. But now we do this matchup. I don't remember this matchup at all. Maybe I'll remember it as time goes on, but I don't remember this matchup very much. Okay, I've got Tentacle Smash for the elusive 1-2. I think Tentacle Smash is really nice just to kill Grandfather Fae, Bandle Commando. A Fizz if they're not holding up any of these cards, right? I think Tentacle Smash is really, really good. It even kills Varus and, you know, Arcade if we have a big enough tentacle. This is like a fantastic keep. Like, I should definitely keep this. This is a 3-3. Blocks into a lot of their stuff like Bandle City Mare, a Tristana that they haven't leveled up enough. You know, even Grandfather Fade, Lunari Cultist. This is a 3-3. It's good into their deck until they start buffing stuff with Lunari, with Wandering Shepherd, Lunari Cultist, or Grandfather Fade's Owlcats, right? We don't really want to single anything. We might want to single Bandle Commando or Grandfather Fade, but we've already got an answer to that in this card, so we don't really need to do it that way. And Nunkakiboros can be just any other spawn unit, and I'm just as happy we can draw Nunkakiboros later. So this is a perfect mulligan. I'm really happy with how I mulliganed here. I don't think it's too complicated to do that, though. And we drew another Illaoi. Aren't we lucky? They play Fizz. Now here, okay, it must have been a different game where I decided to kill Fizz in this position. I was thinking maybe I could kill Fizz, but if they got Momentous Choice, then I can't kill Fizz, right? There was definitely a game where I do attack Fizz in this position, and I think it's really interesting. I don't know if it's this game or not, but I don't really remember doing something with Tentacle Smash and Fizz at some point. Anyway, we play this unit, develop stuff. Developing stuff is fun. We attack if they got Momentous Choice, I'm not too concerned. They can aggressive Momentous here, that's fine. They can defensive Momentous here, that's fine. Discord costs a lot of mana, and I've still got this thing, so I'm happy. Right, I've just made them spend Discord for no reason. Like, I'm happy with how this trade goes. We get to keep this unit, we've got Illaoi, we've got a bunch of spawn stuff. Like, imagine if we just do this and attack on the next turn. We're doing so much damage, and we still have all of these Tentacle Smashes to trade into them, and we've got this for our turn 7 attack. Like, we're feeling amazing with the amount of pressure we can afford onto a deck that can do pressure, but isn't going to do pressure that much. So I'm feeling super excited about this position that we're in at the moment. The Bandle Commando, I just want to kill Bandle Commando. I think that's fine. They could do something like Momentous Choice or double Momentous Choice, but if they do double Momentous Choice, their hand is empty. Like, I'm feeling really happy because we still got the interaction pieces that we need and the aggression pieces that we need, right? So, like, if they do double Momentous Choice or something like that, like, I'm very, very excited about my future. Right? They could do Momentous Choice here, and that would be a little bit sad. They could do Momentous Choice like this to do the trade. They could do Momentous Choice like this to keep the unit alive. Either way, I'm happy. No matter what they do with Momentous, I'm happy. I draw Varus, they do Momentous. I'm okay with that. That's all fine. I've still grown my Illaoi. I get to develop this next turn. Like, I'm fine. They are dealing elusive damage to us. It's not like we're totally out of the woodworks, but also, like, we can see most of their hand. And most of their hand we can deal with pretty okayly. Watchful Idol was a decently nice draw, because we're not going to be playing this on turn 4, on turn 6, right? We're going to play this on turn 7 when it does the free attack, right? So we can play this turn and still afford this in future turns. So that's a nice draw to have. For us, we're just applying a bunch of pressure. I'm very happy about this position. They play Mare, fine by me. We've got another Seize Voice, so I'm very okay letting this die and just getting +1/+1 on both of these, and they still need to block it with one of these stuff. Perhaps if I didn't have another Seize Voice, you could make arguments that I need to find lethals through double overwhelms. By the way, I remember one thing that happens in this game. Finally, I just remembered a thing. Don't worry, I have some memory. But I think this is like totally okay for us to be doing. But there's definitely a fun play that we do later on that I think is super cool. Put them down to 11. Grandfather Fae, fine by me. Is this when I decide to kill Fizz? It is! Huh. I wonder why I did that. So the only thing they can do is Momentous Choice. That's literally the only way they can protect Fizz here. And I guess my thinking is not only have they played a Momentous Choice, one of the few ways I lose is Varus getting a fuck ton of stats from Momentous Choice, but they have to be aggressive stats. And in addition, right, they've only got 6 mana. It'd have to be Varus Gem, and I think I've mathed out that Varus Gem doesn't hurt me, and I've got Jarvan to kill Varus in future turns. Now, there is some weird stuff with like elusives and some slight overwhelm stuff, but I think that was my logic, that I've countered their mana and it doesn't matter. Right, so I think that's why I decided to kill Fizz here. If they've got Momentous, I don't care. And if they don't have Momentous, I've killed one of the main threats that they had. And I level Illaoi, which is nice, right? I could have done this obviously on like the Varus or something when they play next turn, but this is 3 of 7, right? So Momentous Choice would be the thing that levels the Varus, which is just okay, right? It means they're not getting too many stats from the Varus. Now, they could have Momentous Choice now, right? So they could be re-equipping this, doing Varus, doing this, and Momentous Choice. And, like, it'd be fine, but that's also their entire hand, and we can just, like, block it with something like a Tentacle. Like, I'm feeling fine. That was my logic. I don't know if that's the best Tentacle Slam. I think I could have just not done that. Like, spending, as Janspot says, you don't need to spend mana. Spending mana is just, like, something that people like to do. You don't have to do it. And so maybe I just wanted to spend mana, but it seemed fine to me at the time. And look, we drew another Tentacle Slam because that's how video games work. I think I just play Blue Lookout to... No, I don't. I don't play Blue Lookout. I'm pretty sure I do something different. Because I think I'm thinking about, can I just win on the next turn? Like, do I have lethal? And the answer is not necessarily. They do have 2 Unforgiving Colds. That's the only way I really don't have lethal, or if they use Furious Wielder enough, but that's about it. And we still haven't seen this card, which they've had for quite a little while now, once I figure out how to get this back. You haven't seen this card? That's about it. That's like the only thing that they could have is that Unforgiving Cold in any of these 3 cards that we've not seen. That's the only way they don't beat us on the open right now. Right now I'm mathing out, even if they've got Momentous Choices, what do I have to block with, right? If Momentous Choice is their play, remember this is a slow speed action. So if they do this, we can think about this later, but... Now I'm figuring out stuff with Jarvan. But I think I'm just mapping out what do I have to block with on it. They do this. Now, Momentous on this thing would level up Varus and give him +5. Right? 1 Momentous would do that, right? And it's not like we're going to lose because we'd have to block them to give them the action, so we wouldn't lose, but there's no reason to sacrifice any of these units into that sort of play. I'd rather go down to 5 health, attack this with Jarvan, and if we then need to do a Tentacle Smash on this unit. That's my thinking. So I decide not to block. I decide to take the 5. They don't run burn, so it's okay. You've got enough mana for Idol and Watchful Idol and Tentacle Smash and Jarvan. But if they Unforgiving Cold, they need to Unforgiving Cold to this and this and this. That's my logic. This will be the smallest, so this will get the kill for free. They need to Unforgiving Cold both of these. That gets rid of one of their cards. That gets rid of basically all their mana for the turn, and we can still kill their elusive if we want. Is this like a guaranteedly safe play? No, they could have other elusives, and then maybe we should have blocked to play around other elusives. But I think it's more likely that they've got a hand that involves Momentous Choice and Unforgiving Cold than Unforgiving Cold and enough pressure such that we wouldn't be safe via Tentacle Slam. So that's the way we do it this way. So we can beat Unforgiving Cold in quotes by attacking Varus in that sense, which is interesting. I think that's an interesting way of viewing how this game ends up playing out, where they can only Unforgiving Cold to one of these 3 things. And in the event of an Unforgiving Cold, they need to then find a way to find a win. And in that scenario, we're okay. And the Watchful Idol helps, right? Because it gives this enough stats so that even this isn't enough of a blocker. Now, they don't have Unforgiving Cold, so it looks like I'm overthinking overkilling. But in the event of Unforgiving Cold, we're still feeling all right. Not amazing, but all right. They did end up having Momentous at one point. Was that 2 from the top or at the top? Hold on, can I just quickly check where did that Momentous come from? It's 2 from the top. Okay, so they had Momentous last turn. Interesting. So had we done that block, we would have lost our unit and gone down to X amount of HP or whatever. And if they had pre-committed that, we would have had to block. I wonder why they didn't pre-commit it. We're forced to block, friend. Because this gets +5, because it levels and gets +2 from the bow and 2 from the Momentous. Why didn't they pre-commit that? I don't know. But okay, here's Varus. They could have pre-committed that and forced us to block. That's so weird. I don't know why they don't pre-commit that. I guess because they want us to block with like this or this before I do this, because they want to bait us into trading with this, but I don't know. Probably should have pre-committed that one, I think. Didn't you also have this unit? You also had Ballcocks available, right? I think they might have missed lethal, right? Like, hold on, how much mana did they have? So Momentous costs 2 by this point. So they can't do Ballcocks plus Momentous, because this would be 3 because of impact, and then Momentous makes it 5. They actually can't afford that. Crazy. If we hadn't killed Fizz, we would have also lost, because they would have had Momentous here, right? So Fizz would have done enough damage. Wow. Okay, jeez. So I'm really glad I did the Tentacle Slam on the turn before they drew the Momentous Choice. Jesus Christ, okay. Also, if they had drawn second Varus, that would have also been lethal with the Fizz. Sorry, just a lot. I didn't realize that was from second from the top. Interesting. Okay. I think they've definitely misplayed. They could have pre-committed that spell just okay. We can move forward, I think. Like, they don't have the card, so we win. Like, they do all these blocks, doesn't matter. They don't have the card, we win the video game. Importantly, Jarvan's leveled, like, for future turns. Like, if we're losing to Illaoi stuff, to future elusive stuff or second Varus stuff, like, we've got both Tentacle Slam and Cataclysm, right? So we can win. Also, Cataclysm provides us a lethal with Illaoi, right? So we've got a lot of stuff that allows us to survive in future turns. Okay, I'm going to try and fit the next game into this, but you'll notice that we didn't see the first 7 turns. I forgot to hit the record button. So unfortunately, this game's like really, really scuffed. I didn't hit the record button, and I'm also really bad at the Cartwheels mirror. Quickly go over what their decks were. Their decks were Aatrox Twin Vane, Pantheon Samira, Karma Sett. Either choice of banning either Karma Sett or Aatrox Twin Vane or Pantheon Samira. All of these are interesting ban options. When looking up the ban helper, it basically said that all of our Pantheon Samira matchups were bad, while both of these were like 50s or better. But Karma Sett for Norra Veigar was like a really bad matchup. So this was supposed to be like mega losing. I think like this, I went into this thinking all my matchups are bad. If you look at like the ban helper of these things, I think there's only 2 things that are above 50% from my decks into their decks. So like I wasn't planning on winning at all. And I don't. I lose this matchup. But that's okay, because the whole point was that I put Roma into this, and Gemsy was going to beat either this guy or this guy. Right, so I put Roma into a Manador. That was a guaranteedly 1 matchup, I think, because he like just destroys these decks from memory. And Gemsy also just destroys these decks, right? That's how this was going to work. Gemsy and Roma going to destroy these. I'm losing to Ash LeBlanc now that I've got 2 Demacians, right? But Gemsy and Roma beats both of these because of like the Samira Varus and the Team of Tristana and that sort of stuff, right? They give me the worst matchup because we did first pick, so I first picked this. They second pick these and these, and so I lose. No big deal. But this is a matchup I'm not very comfortable with. Cartwheels into Cartwheels. They're on this card in Cartwheels, which was definitely a little bit scary for me. And look, we're midway through a game. It's not really fun to watch games when they're midway through. I think it's rather boring, but we'll try our best. From memory, my logic here is to try and kill this unit by trading into it twice, but let's just see what goes on. Because I honestly don't really remember this game too much, except losing quite badly. Because I'm just not good at this deck. I cannot play Cartwheels. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. Right, so I've got like this massive Elkin, because I had this Darkened Spear that I got 2 Darkened Spears. I've just kept buffing repeatedly as I attacked. So I've got this gigantic Elkin. And so my thinking was I was going to do this trade, and then I was going to like fish fight and kill this unit, and then start being aggressive from memory. Was my plan. Although I think I might play Aatrox here, but I think that might be wrong. I think I'm supposed to probably fish fight this way and be aggressive. Just based on the hands. I don't remember what hand reads we've got at the moment. We've obviously killed an Aatrox. You can see that we've killed an Aatrox prior. But I do this. I think my plan is to fish fight this way. They do that. But I think it was more correct to fish fight this way. We don't play around catch, but I think that's okay. I definitely got some thoughts here. I could develop this unit, or I could do the fish fight this way. I'm not sure which one I decide to do. I'm not going to delve into this game too difficultly early on, because we don't have any context on what happened earlier, so we don't know what sort of gameplay patterns we're trying to play for at the moment. Guess I'm wondering if I want to summon Zilani or not. But I think I start with fish fight. I do this to play around catch, but it is not right. It's not right because I know they're on condemn and single. So I really should have done it this way. I don't know what my aversion is to doing it this way. Do I just not know this unit is equipped? This is wrong. Because I remember what happens. They single combat and I lose my Aatrox. So I don't know why I'm just like refusing to do this. And why I didn't do it last turn. Like maybe I'm playing around catch, but who cares? Because now look, now any pressure I've got is completely nullified, right? They'll play Zilani and then what am I going to do? Maybe they don't play Zilani. No, they play Quinn. Interesting. I think the right play here is Zilani. I think I just want big units. But I might be scared of their assimilation. That must be what I'm scared of. Them assimilating. Because their assimilate's worth 7 mana, right? So I think what I want to do is I want to assimilate when they assimilate so that we both have big units. That's probably what gameplay pattern I'm playing for at the moment. Yeah, that's what all of this is about. I'm trying to double assimilate when they assimilate. They silence and suppress, and now I'm just like, I'm feeling incredibly awkward and sad that they've just killed my Aatrox when I assimilate. Because they can get a known Aatrox when they assimilate. They've got the resources to get the Aatrox when they assimilate. So, when I say assimilate, I mean like World End. I decided to do this. I probably could have gone for Stiratu, but I decided not to. I attack a little. I don't really know why. Maybe I'm just trying to buff up a unit later on. But they don't block, so it's okay. And now it's 6 mana, my assimilate cards, but they're going to equip something with Aatrox and assimilate, and then I lose. Because I don't have a way to kill their Aatrox, so I'm dead. Unless they play a big Darken. They might play a big Darken here. They open, they kill theirs. See, I can't assimilate because they can equip Aatrox and then assimilate, and then I've lost because Aatrox is bigger than every other Darken, and they can replay stuff, basically, I think. Wait, they don't have Aatrox either. They don't have Aatrox weapon. Hold on. Maybe they do and we're just not seeing it. How would I have killed Aatrox weapon? Was Aatrox weapon equipped to the Darken Harp? The Harpy? It must have been equipped to the Harpy. They must not have Aatrox weapon. Okay, hold on. Weird. So neither of us have the Aatrox weapon. Okay. Huh. Because they did equip it to the Harpy, right? That must be what had happened. I go back. Yep, you can see it's got regen. So they equipped it to the Harpy originally. Okay. They equip. Yeah, okay. And I guess I'm thinking, like, what kind of blockers do I want? Must be what's going on in my mind. I pass? Really? Yep, they do World Ender. They're going to get the Anarcha, and it's going to be a big stat Anarcha. Don't tell me I just play Anarcha. Please tell me I World End here. Zilani isn't good enough for you, Spidz? Okay, so like, Zilani does only become a 7/7, and my Anarcha is the same size as their Anarcha, right? So I'll be able to block their Anarcha, and I'll have a Zilani, but their Zilani will be bigger than my Zilani, and I guess I'm just thinking that I don't want to waste my World Ender when I could get stuff in future. So I decide to play Zilani so that Anarcha so that I can open and then do World Ender afterwards. But I think I'm just supposed to World Ender, hope that they draw a bad unit. I block their Zilani with, I block their Anarcha with my Anarcha that's currently on the Darken Throw. I block whatever small unit I'm saying that's gonna get from thinking with my thing. Feel okay with it. They end up getting Stiratu. But I think I just like misplayed. I don't think I should be playing that unit there. I guess what I'm saying is that I want to be doing World Ender next turn, I guess. Like I equip Stiratu on both of these in World End and try and win that way. That must be what I'm going for. Obviously getting low on time as well. I don't remember this game very much. I remember losing, and I remember losing because I'm not good at like late game cartwheel mirrors. I get my 6/6 vein. But I think I'm just saying, give me my double Stiratus, please. They play Aatrox, and he's leveled, and I think I just lose from this position. Now, Aatrox was like this card in hand, so they had Aatrox the whole time. But I do it this way. When I attack, Aatrox can block, and I've sort of just lost. I mean, they've got Aatrox and I don't. Now, if remember, like, this is Cataclysm, and they just, like, misplay. They do, like, the worst Cataclysm I've ever seen. Yeah, they do the one Cataclysm that doesn't win them the game, somehow. Like, this Cataclysm wins them the game. This Cataclysm wins them the game because of the scout keyword. And even a Narca wins them the game because I won't have the blockers. So this is, like, the only Cataclysm that doesn't win them the game. Every other Cataclysm wins them the game, and they just don't do it. I don't know what they're playing around. I don't have any cards that prevent Cataclysm, do I? There's no anti-Cataclysm cards in my deck? I don't think so. I don't know what they're playing around. Every other Cataclysm won them the game. So I had the moral victory because they had 3 cards they could have done Cataclysm on to win the game with, and they picked the one that doesn't win the game. But, okay. And they won anyway. What was I going to do? But somehow they do the only play that doesn't win them the game, and they still win. But whatever. Here's my Stirato. That'll totally help. Like, here I need to get Cataclysm to kill their Aatrox or something, right? Or I need to get Fish Fight to kill their Aatrox. I need something that's an interaction piece to even have a chance of surviving for a single turn. And then I still need to find a unit as well to block all their stuff. And I just don't find it and I lose, right? Not too surprising. We don't really need to continue watching, right? Like, you can see their hand. We lost. They develop stuff. They attack. We lose. Fair cut. This matchup's supposed to be super favored. It's a matchup I've never done before, so this was my first time doing this matchup. So it was really interesting to see how this worked because I've just never done this. Okay. What's the mulligan? I think this mulligan's fine. Like, this is okay because it deals with certain types of pings. But I'd rather just have more units, and this is also okay because it deals with the interaction pieces. I think there are worlds where you do keep the Dark and Aegis because tough keyword beats this region, right? But I hadn't done this matchup before, and what I did know that I wanted was units, and I wanted like good units that deal damage. I really wanted the scout unit in particular, so that's why I did this mulligan. I think Dark and Aegis is fine. I think both Dural, like the 5 strength challenger Dural, as well as the -2 cost part of Dural, as well as the tough part of Dural, is all like good. I just don't know if it's good enough to keep, but it may have been. I don't know. I've never done this matchup. I think if I did this matchup a lot, maybe I would know, but now I don't, and so I don't go for it. I do Badger Bear. I've never played with Badger Bear, not really. So realizing that this has got 4 strength against this deck felt like really powerful. Like, what the hell is this a 4 for? I've never really played Badger Bear decks too much because I don't really like them us here in modern time. Place your bets is understandable, but they're drawing, which feels great. Like, we get to develop units. We've got a lot of units. I'm very happy to develop them. So I'm very happy to see them draw. And Bloodletters I love in these aggressive decks. Like, when we need to be aggressing, like, Bloodletters just feels amazing every time, in my opinion. Now, from memory, they attack here to set up a Mystic or a High Note. I get confused. I'm like, why do you do this attack? It's to set up Mystic and High Note to kill this unit. It sort of makes sense because we are going to challenge this, which means they can't kill this in any other way. So maybe I shouldn't have done this block, right? Like, Chance Board always says they're never going to do an attack that's bad for them. So, never block them, right? But my thinking was that, what are they going to do? High Note or Mystic me? Said person just before getting High Noted or Mystic. And yeah, they took Mystic off Clockling, and so I lose my unit. And now I'm dealing 1 less damage. Oh, big deal in my opinion, but sure. I open. What are they going to do? Stun or tag out? Like, I'm very happy. I'm happy dealing this damage. I'm okay with this. What's good about Vayne is that, like, it's not like we've only got, 2 more attack tokens for the rest of the game. Like, we don't only just have attack token here and attack token here. We've got attack tokens on every turn if we want them. That's what I really like about Vayne. And they kill Vayne, but what do they know? We've got second Vayne, and I feel really evilly happy with this. Like, I'm smiling in my seat. I'm like, hell yeah, you don't know. You don't know that I've got extra Vaynes. That's a good play by them. They're denying our attack tokens by killing... Oh, wait, this isn't a Vayne. Oh, shit. Okay, never mind. Whoops. Okay, that's a really good play by them. Like, thinking about how this matchup goes, right? Like, they only need to deny 2 attack tokens. Their whole deck, like, Ione is really good at denying attack tokens, right? Because they've got stuns. So we've only got 2 attack tokens left and the tumble. So them killing Vayne denies, like, excess tumbles. That's, like, a big thing, right? I decide if I want to tumble here, and I decide, no, I think I need to get more tumble value later on than just 3 damage. So I don't. I pass. Blinding Assault gives us a rally. From memory, I'll play Aatrox here. They can't do anything to Aatrox. And we can even Cataclysm kill the Sett if we want. And they're not going to give us a Zilani, right? So them giving us Zilani is really good for us. Or even just the Dark Enthrall. Like, that's a good thing for us. So they don't do it. I pass the turn. I could have done something like a Cataclysm to kill Sett, but I think I was thinking about being aggressive via going wide quite a bit here. Or forcing them to do stuff and then killing Sett on a future action. However, I forget about Facebreaker. I always forget about champion spells. This is one thing that's like a big mental block of mine. I just forget about champion spells. So this is really powerful, right? They prevented something. We get it on Cataclysm. They would have notified it or something last turn. Possibly, or, you know, self-tagged out. But self-tag out would have been fine for us. Like, they're spending a lot of mana to self-tag out. But I completely forget about Facebreaker. It's just something that I never think about, ever. So that's quite bad for me. Think about Blinding Assault. Are they? I don't think they're on Caustic. I should mention, I don't think they're on Caustic anymore. They took out Caustic Rare. So what I'm thinking about here is that I can kill Sett via, like, weapon switching a lot, and I can get my Dark Enthralls as well. So what I'm thinking of doing right now is just switching my weapons a bunch, accessing my Dark Enthrall by trying to kill Sett through 2 units. That's my main aim at the moment. And I can even beat certain things by doing Condemn afterwards. Is this the right play? I don't know. I don't know how useful this VOD review is, because I don't actually know how to play these decks. So to VOD review them is a little bit, like, weird. They high note. I feel okay with it. I'm getting my Dark Enthrall. And they're not high noting anything else. And I got to push in for like 4 damage. That's fine. I'm happy to push in 5 damage, sorry. Pushing in for 5 damage against their deck feels beautiful. I don't even have to attack with the Challenger unit, and they have to do this block. Like, let me be clear. Like, I'm happy with this. Tag out costs 2 mana in quotes. And then, you know, it costs 1 because you get the coin back, right? But what it actually does is it costs 1 mana plus the unit you recall, right? So this actually costs 6 mana. And, you know, look at our board. Like, I'm happy. They're spending 6 mana here. I'm very, very happy with this. Sure, go ahead. I end up condemning, I think. I force them to do Nopify. Or another tag out. Right, that's what this does. It forces Nopify or tag out. I'm okay with that. Now they're not Nopifying this unit. I can now do it with other stuff, which feels great. Because Cataclysm is better than Condemn in most scenarios. Not in all of them, but in most of them. They do Sett. They've only got 4 mana. I just have to do this. If they want to deny me, go ahead. They have to deny me or tag out me. They don't really have any other options. They do this. It's to level Sett. Which is understandable. But we've got Tumble. We've got some good things going on. We've got Tumble, we've got Zilani. Like, I'm feeling pretty happy. So we Tumble Aatrox. I think I should equip the Darken Weapon. Do we Tumble Aatrox? What's going on? I wonder what I do. This is weird. I think I play Zilani. Yeah, Zilani's so much better here. So what we can do is next turn, like, they don't have any mana. We can open attack this. 2 of these units, right? Because this is a 7/7 Zilani, is lethal. They need to prevent 2 of these. That means they need to spend, 4 mana twice, right? Because they need to do like 2 times concussive, or, concussive plus tag out or something, right? Or they need to find a way to kill this via, to high note Mystic, right? So they need to spend 4 mana twice. Then just spend 8 mana, deal with both Zilani and Aatrox, and then we can tumble and win right after. So this is the right play, right? We're just applying so much pressure that they need to deal with at least 2 of these, and that costs 8 mana or 9 mana, and then we just tumble and win. We make Aatrox or Zilani do a cartwheel. Probably Zilani. Imagine Zilani doing a cartwheel. That'd be kind of funny. And we don't really need to watch this. Like, you know, it's relatively obvious what it gets. They play formula, we win. Right? What are they going to do? Now, funnily enough, at this point, I actually thought that if these 2 units struck the Nexus, they'd still be alive. Don't know why, just thought I'd mention that. In my brain, I'm actually really surprised that Concussive Palm doesn't prevent lethal here. But whatever, we win. It's not... Yeah, they tag out. I think we need a form up, because I think for some reason we're dealing 9 damage, not 11. So I hover form up, because I'm like, okay, I need to do form up to do lethal again, and then no. It's just a win anyway. Alright, final set. Now, this set is really bad. This is like a 30% matchup or something. Like, this is a harrowingly bad matchup. Like, this is 30%. It's possible, but I think you want your Norras, and you want your Norra to stay alive. And that's like the only way you don't lose this matchup, I think. None of these are desirable. You want Norra, you want your 2-drop units. I thought about keeping Vengeance, but I don't think any of these are desirable. Ixtali is interesting, but you need to have the Darkness buffers to make Ixtali good, and at that point, just mulligan for the Darkness buffers, right? Now, we do draw a bunch of early units. That's quite nice. That's exactly what we want. And we draw the Ixtali. So, look, no Norra, but we draw early units. It's okay, but this is like a nearly, probably a less than 30% matchup, to be honest. So right now I'm just developing units, trying to deal damage to the Nexus. They do Mystic Shot. I've already lost now. How am I going to win? I'm dealing 2 damage this turn. I've only got like 2 more attack tokens. I don't think I'm able to win that easily. They do this, and I'm thinking, okay, I have to probably win through Veigar attacking the Nexus. With how my hand looks, the fact that I can develop both of these units next turn as well means that what I probably want to do is just get this Veigar to hit the Nexus a lot. I think that's what I want. I also want this to be able to strike the Nexus, right? That's my logic. And using Darkness to me because something like a Sett seems important. They Aftershock, I feel really, really concerned. I think this win condition may have been correct. I could have been a little less aggressive with it, maybe, by not putting Veigar into this scenario yet and keeping Veigar as like a tool. But I also need something to count up the Darkness, right? So I think I needed to play Veigar this early to try and find a win condition. I get Impact, which is cute, but what are we going to do with it? For some reason, I think that this is better than doing this with this. That's wrong. I really should have let this have Impact and this not have Impact, because both of these are high priority targets. But, sorry, both of this and this are high priority targets. And this is less of a high priority target, so I should have appended this to this, not appended this to this. So that's my bad. I should have played Controller just first. I only realized this immediately after, that this was a misplay. And while this doesn't die to Mystic Shot, it does die to any of their units, which is important, right? Like Mixo. Now all of a sudden this sucks. And wish I'd done it the other way around, right? I'll take Electro Harpoon here because it's Nexus damage, I think. Now Quicken was close. So Quicken was really, really close because it protects this. I'm pretty close to taking Quicken. I think Quicken's probably the right choice in the end. I think I was so obsessed with the idea of being aggro in a matchup that I've never done before that I thought I just need to deal damage to the Nexus. I need this thing to say 0 before anything else occurs. But I should have been a bit slower and taken Quicken, I'm pretty sure. Because provided they can answer this and answer this, I've lost, right? I cannot win anymore if they answer both of those. So I think taking Quicken would have allowed me to go toe-to-toe with some of their, like, types of removal. Oh my god. It's like the G key triangle or something? Okay, anyway. So I think I should have done it that way. I could have attacked with this unit to push 1 extra damage. I think they might have done this block though, to be honest. They can probably reliably put their health high enough that they don't need to worry too much. So that's why I didn't attack like that. But yeah, they do this. Remember I played Dark Ball Backlight just to try and push damage in at some point. They play Formula and now I'm in a weird position. I don't know what to play. They kill our Veigar, so I just replay Veigar. But this is what I mean. Like, imagine if I Quicken there. That'd be great. I'd love to have Quicken there. We're going to start attempting to apply damage. I think I developed this unit because if they play Sett, I can kill Sett with this thing. Darkness. So that's why I decided to develop units. Now they could have Concussive Palm. They don't, but they could have. But look, we're pushing in for 3 damage. We're so gonna win. And then they play Hexsplit. And now look, what's our win condition, right? This Hexsplit was like over here in their hand. If I had Quicken, maybe we would have survived more, because what's this doing in hand, right? So we could have quickened this, we could have kept this around, we could have even replayed it this turn and like tried to apply pressure. But they're also not developing units, they're not letting us level our thing. In fact, that's why they attacked with the 3-1, right? They didn't want us to level our Veigar. And now we've lost. We can pretend to still have chances. Finally, we get our Junk Construct unit, by the way, that we killed on turn 4. I take Glimpse to try and draw stuff. This is me trying to level up Veigar a little. Doesn't really do too much for me. They self-tag out. I might end up Vengeancing. But I probably don't. No. I think I'm keeping Vengeance for Sett or Karma or something. No, I just make them spend the mana, I think. Yeah, okay, I guess that's the logic. I wanted them to spend mana. Like, look, I'm pushing in 7 damage. It's not like the game is totally over, right? Because this does deal like 6 Nexus damage. And then all of a sudden they copy that and I've lost. Like, they've developed another unit, right? Like, we're going to struggle into them developing units. I decided that my last-ditch attempt is to kill this and hope that their hand is literally just like Karma's. That's my desire. That they just have Karma in hand. And even if they've got Karma in hand, we're not winning the game. They stun, game's over, right? This is still my best way of pushing damage in. I'm still trying to play to win. Especially if we top deck our 3rd Veigar. But nothing of success will occur. I'm pretty down on this game, but I honestly don't really know what else there is to analyze besides taking Quicken and being maybe less aggressive with Veigar, not playing into Hexsplit. But this is a losing matchup where we don't draw Norra, and I think like the way you need to win this matchup is have Norra when they don't have Mystic, and that's the only way you can win. Getting our Junk Construct unit, maybe, I don't know, any turn earlier might have been a little bit nicer, but that's about it, right? I think they'd just play Karma here, yeah, and that's, you know, you've fought against Karma Sett before. Yep, I won't bore you with the details. They play Facebreaker, they play Sett, they kill our units, I decide to Glimpse, try and find anything of value, I play a unit, they attack, I don't block because my way to win is by going wide. So I don't block when they attack, they deal 10 damage. I say if they've got Mystic, I lose, right? Because I need to have this and my other units to try and find any way of finding lethal, right? I'll be like a little bit less down. Let's, in this position, right? I think we've got a portal in here, I think we've got 1 portal in there. My hope is that I get this. We got a unit. We have Mirai Warden, we summon 2 more units. We top deck something like the Ishtali Sentinel, right? We attack. They block Ishtali, they block this thing, we're dealing 4 damage. This, and possibly this is lethal. This is my way to win the game. I can't justify playing around Mystic Shot when they've already played 2. So I just don't play around Mystic Shot. They end up having Time Winder from Timers inside of Aegis and LEs. But that's my logic regarding why I don't block with the thing there. Because I think my main chance of a win condition involves us not blocking, but it doesn't happen, so he leaves. It was a little bit quick here. I'm sort of on a timer. I've got to go in a few minutes. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I think that it's a little bit sad that the TKG Andreas game was in such a way that I didn't remember to record, because I actually think like a lot of the early turns in this game were interesting, and a cartwheel mirror is obviously determined somewhat by the early turns. But if we go over everything that happened here, right? In the first game, we pressure this deck to the point where they can't do anything. They don't have any early drops, and we mulligan, you know, pretty decently. Right, so we're feeling fine. There was one instance where we could have lost the game if they had second Samira, but besides doing that, we felt fine. In this matchup, I don't flip the Illaoi when it was necessary to go for a win, and you know what? We would have actually won if we had done that, because we went through the logic, and we would have had just enough strength to be able to go for a win there. In this game, we had an interesting option where we smacked Fizz, and we did some interesting stuff to play around Unforgiving Cold, but in general, I think our deck was just a little bit more powerful than theirs, doing a little bit more stuff. And while they did misplay, I think, with like how they could have played Momentous Choice, I think we did fine. I think our plays were okay. And they may not have been able to go for lethal without playing Varus there, so maybe it wasn't as easy. In this game, we didn't really have that much of a chance, I don't think. Like, they had more units than us. We didn't have any units in hand that allowed us to go for big world enders. And they could always develop more darkness than we did, and were able to use that pressure of this Anarcha to do more to us, right? They just had a bigger mid-range board at the times where it was necessary to go for mid-range, right? Like, they had just the mid-range board to deal with stuff. In this matchup, we pressured them enough such that we're able to win, and I think it's more interesting to see how the Zolani action turned around. I think like playing around the 4 mana stuff makes Ionia matchups really interesting. I really like playing against Ionia when we need to deal with like their 4 mana interaction pieces. I think that's a fun gameplay pattern. And then in this matchup, like, what are we gonna do? We're like an attrition control deck against a 10 mana combo deck, right? Like, we're not gonna do anything. That's everything, I think. I think the collab set is a lot more interesting because the collab set has a bunch of hand reading that I think is fascinating, and I'm not very good at hand reading, so I found that game absolutely enjoyable as hell. But that's everything.